Anyway, yeah, it's 10:13 p.m. on June the 4th, 2023, and we are here for another Diamond Report Live. Got quite a few videos tonight, and we will attempt to show them all, although I don't know. I'll have to see how it plays out, I think. I've got a number of different clips from other longer videos. We won't have time to play all of the videos, so we're just going to play pieces of them. And I've got, I would say the normal amount of articles to look at as well. So let's get right into it. We've got several things to look at, and we'll play some video clips as we go, just kind of like we normally do. All right, the first thing I have pulled up here is HalTurnerRadioshow.com, and just look at the headlines here. We'll just kind of peruse them and see what he has to say. We have the first one from earlier today. Ukraine begins large-scale offensive. Russian MOD. Ukrainian forces have attacked the Russian troops along 5 sections of the front line of the Donbass during their large-scale offensive, the Russian Defense Ministry said in the early hours of Monday. So we will see what happens. Sonic boom over Annapolis, mistaken for Washington, D.C. bombing. We're going to look at that. I've got a couple of articles pulled up on that one as well. So very loud explosion apparently in the D.C. metro area. Pretty peculiar, huh? And I think I said last week, I've been calling D.C. Mordor. It's now Mordor. Subscribers only. Zelensky's phone tapped. His phone tap information is about Ukraine, the war in Ukraine falling apart fast, which is, we kind of already know that. If you're listening to the mainstream media, it's all glorious how Ukraine is winning the war and winning the war big time, and Russia is losing big time. But of course, you guys know as well as I do, all you have to do is reverse what you're told from the mainstream media, and pretty much always that will work and will get you the truth. And in this case, Ukraine is losing bad and Russia is winning big. Russian strategic bombers are airborne again. Attacks on Ukraine said to be imminent. So this is dated yesterday. At least 6 strategic bombers, most likely carrying KH-55 cruise missiles and anti-ship missiles, are currently airborne, heading towards their launch zones over the Caspian Sea. A Russian missile attack tonight against Ukraine appears imminent. So yeah, there's lots of information here. Hal does a really good job of covering the war going on in Ukraine, and I think you'll see some pictures and articles on his site that you won't find anywhere else, which is one of the reasons I like his site. So feel free to take a look at that if you want to. Let's look at the next one. G. Edward Griffin warns against a cashless system and says our lives are at stake. The world is now in the hands of the banking institutions, says G. Edward Griffin, author of Creature from Jekyll Island and founder of the Red Pill University. He says that large banks have become so powerful that they are now regulating the governments. He concludes that investors will eventually lose their freedom of choice in the market because we're moving towards a cashless society. He compared the new system that is planned to a military system where necessities are provided, not owned, and are awarded according to compliance with the system and rank, that's what the social credit score is all about, which is what China has instituted. In the second video, so video is embedded on this page here, Griffin said, "We will not survive the system by figuring out how to hide from it." He added, "Our lives and our freedom are at stake here." He also believes the banking crisis is not a surprise since it allows for the transition towards a cashless society with fewer banks. Cash gives people autonomy. It allows them to be independent of others, he argues. Finally, he claims that de-dollarization is inevitable because the national debt can never be repaid, and it may happen soon. So here's the 2 videos. Feel free to look at that if you have time. Needtoknow.news. That particular article is front and center at the moment. So, and he has been a guest on Lost Arts Radio before. I have talked to him several times, and the man is incredible. We've got another clip coming up here that we're going to play in just a little bit. I think he's in his 90s now. But yeah, we've got some other video footage of him in a younger day coming up in this broadcast, so watch for that. Next article I have pulled up here, technocracy.news as well. In Japan, AI can learn from any data source, even illegal ones. I don't know why that would matter. AI is nothing but an empty pillowcase without the data it uses for learning, quote unquote. Does anyone ask where all this data comes from? Or question it if it is ethical or illegal to do so? Were it not for the massive streams of data from the internet, there would be no AI. Once this data is stolen for learning, it cannot be unlearned. So yeah, this is there's a little bit more here on this particular article. It's actually a repost of a Breitbart story, so feel free to look at this if you want to. Climate czar John Kerry calls for reduction in food production to stop global warming, which we touched on this last week. Biden appointed John Kerry as the first ever U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate. What a title. With a budget of $14 billion and a staff of 45 people. At a recent meeting of AIM for Climate, John Kerry thundered that farmers worldwide create 1/3 of global greenhouse gases. Farmers, and therefore cows, right? Kerry tried to gaslight the public when he said we have to reduce emissions from the food system to stop a 2-degree Fahrenheit temperature change. He is essentially calling for a reduction in food production to prevent hypothetical future starvation. The Netherlands is an example of attacking farming and the food supply in the name of climate, which again, if you go back to the roots of this, it goes right back to depopulation again. So this is the video. We've got it embedded on the page here, but let's watch this. This is a really good Greg Reese report. It's a short one too. Here it is. Okay, well, yes, the hypocrite John Kerry, who flies around the world on his own private jet, wants to ban cows and ban farms and ban farmers and ban food production. Meanwhile, he continues to do exactly those type of things that he warns us not to do. That is called being a hypocrite. And if they really wanted to stop climate change, quote unquote, they would stop geoengineering, because that's where it's primarily based from. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, pretty interesting. And I thought that video was a good one. So speaking of which, Ireland looking to kill 200,000 cows to fight climate change. Are the U.S. herds next? This is on Cowboy State Daily. Climate activists are coming for livestock producers and farmers. So this is not ever going to end until we tell them no, until we make it end. European governments have been targeting the agriculture industry for several years. The Telegraph reports that Ireland's government may need to reduce the country's cattle herds by 200,000 cows over the next 3 years to meet climate targets, which is totally made up, totally arbitrary, and complete lies. In an effort to reduce nitrogen pollution, in every breath you take is about 70% nitrogen. I think that was a Sting song, wasn't it? Every breath you take. But it wasn't about nitrogen. Anyway, Reuters reported the EU last month approved a $1.6 billion Dutch plan to buy out livestock farmers and, of course, probably kill all of the animals. I found this article, too, and was sort of snickering. Trump congratulates Kim Jong-un on North Korea's entry into the World Homicide Organization. Draws GOP criticism. Obviously, this is an old picture from years ago, but I do think it's funny. It's like, welcome to the club, huh? Now you get to die too, just like the rest of us, being part of the WHO. That's why it's called the World Homicide Organization. Yeah, congratulations to Kim Jong-un, Trump said in a post on Truth Social. There it is. So, anyway, make of that what you will. I just thought it was funny more than anything. The next site I have pulled up is LifeSite News. FDA launches rumor control website to combat the growing spread of health misinformation, which of course means the truth is getting out. Critics have argued that the FDA, the Fraud and Death Administration, initiative to police supposed misinformation is hypocritical. And I think that's exactly right. In a recent announcement, the U.S. FDA has revealed the launch of a webpage designed to address and curtail what it says is the spread of misinformation related to health and medical topics online. It's known as rumor control. It invites users to report instances of perceived misinformation on the internet, particularly on social media. So you're supposed to go report anything you see. You see something, you say something. Isn't that what the old saying is? help stop the spread of what they're calling misinformation, which of course is stop the spread of truth. That's what they mean. So anyway, this is on LifeSite News again. Feel free to look at that if you want to. And I found this one too. Most common DM I get is about medical bills. This person says, never pay the first medical bill you get. It's the sucker's bill. Think usury. Just throw it out. I think that was pretty funny. I've never heard this advice before. I don't know about you guys. 40% chance you never hear from them again. I don't know about that. 40% chance you get 5 more, then offered a big discount. And a 20% chance you go to war. I've done this for 10 years. I've had 4 kids in a hospital, C-sections, multiple day stays, and only paid what her OB required up front. Someone DM'd me their bill went from $3,300K to $750 in 6 months from following this. Here's our kid's 4th bill, who was born in October of 21. And it says last bill was received June of 22. Never heard from him again. So, yeah, they're just writing these things off. So pretty interesting. I don't know what you guys think about this. I've always been one to pay the bills in a timely fashion. Not necessarily, I've not really had hospital bills other than the one time I was nearly killed in a car accident a few years back. But, for the most part, I take care of my bills as quick as I can. It wouldn't occur to me to even do this. I don't know about you guys. Pretty wild. Just a different way of thinking for sure. And I don't disagree with it. It's probably true. So I saw this article too and thought you guys might be interested in knowing about this. I knew a little bit of this, but it's got some information here that's really helpful regarding food. It says you're eating oils that were designed for machinery back in the 1920s. They're making you fat and killing your body. Here's how seed oils, formerly machine oils, became our food. In the 1920s, American diets had 0% seed oils. Today, that percentage of calories has risen to 17 to 18%. Here's how. They went from machine oils to seed oils to vegetable oils. Seed oils were only used in industrial machines before the early 1900s. To get them from machines to food, the oil must be chemically extracted. So why does the U.S. call them vegetable oils? They were renamed vegetable oil because the word vegetable was healthier when marketing. Seed oil, grain oil, and bean oil just doesn't sound as healthy. Vegetable oils are industrial seed oils. So why in the HE double hockey sticks are they in our food? This goes back to 2 soap makers in the early 1900s. It says frickin' soap makers, ? Procter & Gamble had historically made soap from rendered pork fat. Procter & Gamble got cheeky and decided to create a new type of soap from seed oils. Do you see where this is going? At the same time they started making seed oil soap, petroleum oil was discovered. Up till then, cottonseed oil had been used for lamps, but petroleum quickly replaced cottonseed oil as the fuel. So what do you think they did with cottonseed oil? Cottonseed oil quickly became a toxic waste, but Procter & Gamble realized that all the unwanted cottonseed oil could be used to produce soap. So then they figured out a new business venture, turning toxic waste into money. Sounds a lot like the fluoride business too, doesn't it? They learned that oil could be chemically altered via hydrogenation, turn it into a cooking fat, think fake lard. In 1911, they came out with the first hydrogenated oil food product. This product would later be called Crisco. Heard of it? That's how toxic waste became American food. Other vegetable oils joined the bandwagon. And they talk about soybeans and some other stuff. So anyway, there's more here. I won't read the entire thing, but I thought that was very interesting. And I know I heard that canola oil was bad and try and stay away from that personally, but I didn't know about the history of it. So again, this is on pingthread.com. That's the website, but I'll link to this in my Substack tomorrow. It's a pretty interesting article for sure. Taiwan says it's in talks on being brought under U.S. nuclear umbrella. Taiwan's foreign minister said last week that the U.S. and Taiwan are in talks on the possibility of the island being brought under Washington's nuclear umbrella. I would have thought they already would be. A step that would make a catastrophic war between the U.S. and China much more likely. Taiwanese Foreign Minister Joseph Wu made the comments before Taiwan's parliament. Says Wu declined to detail the talks. when pressed if Taiwan had asked the U.S. to bring the island into its nuclear umbrella. So, and all that to say that there have been a couple of other, I would say, near misses lately. In addition to this is another thing that just recently happened. Beijing blasts provocative U.S. flybys over South China Sea after Pentagon accuses PLA jet of aggressive move. Chinese J-16 aircraft said to have forced an American RC-135 on routine operations in international airspace to fly through its wake turbulence. Beijing responds by condemning Washington's frequent military reconnaissance activities as root cause of maritime security issues. So you have that with the military flybys going on. And then on top of that, there was also, let me see if I can find it. Well, I have it on another tab. There was another near miss with a couple of boats. So we'll get to that here in a second. I've got it on a different tab. So anyway, yeah, lots of stuff going on, I guess, over there in the area of Taiwan. I saw this and I'm like, oh boy, Washington is indeed Mordor, as I've been calling it that. And this is further proof that it is. Capitol Police stopped children's choir from singing the national anthem inside the U.S. Capitol because someone's feelings might have gotten hurt. Jack Prosovic shares more details on the choir's appearance in the Capitol along with a longer version of the video. I did watch the video. The kids, there's just a few kids here, actually. It's not that many. And their choir director. It's a group from Rushing Brook. They're called Rushing Brook Children's Choir. But they do get through the main part of the national anthem, and then they're stopped in the later part. So think of the fact that they did like an extended, longer version, probably the full version of the song, and they were stopped partway through that second half of the song. Says the choir had secured permission from 3 congressional offices to sing at the Capitol, and says on Tuesday the video emerged of the Rushing Brook Children's Choir singing the national anthem at Statuary Hall in one of the most popular rooms inside the U.S. Capitol. In the video, a man can be seen approaching the choir director and speaking into his ear as the singing children looked on in confusion before they were directed to cease singing. Says in the video, the children can be heard artfully singing the lyrics, and they did a really good job. Star Spangled Banner. So, yeah, feel free to watch this if you want. I won't bother playing the clip for you guys. I think you guys can probably imagine what happened, but they're singing away, and then somebody comes up and tells them to stop, basically. So anyway, that's the world that we live in. Didn't know if you guys knew about that one, but that just happened recently. It says on June 2nd, so published June 2nd. It probably happened on the 1st, I'm guessing, right around there. Anyway, not good. Who can you trust? I opened this article up from Liberty Beacon, figuring that I would just mention this because this is something that a lot of people are talking about right now with the World Homicide Organization and their so-called treaty that they're trying to push forth. It says, perhaps you're aware that the WHO is cooking up a plan to impose its will over all the sovereign nations on the planet in the event of future pandemics, which you can just say when they plan future pandemics. That means, for instance, that the WHO would issue orders to the U.S. about lockdowns, vaccines, vaccine passports, and we, U.S. citizens, supposedly would be compelled to follow them. Why the Biden regime would go along with this globalist you-know-what is one of the abiding mysteries of our time, except that they go along with everything else that the cabal of Geneva cooks up, such as attacks on farmers and on oil production and on relations between men and women and on personal privacy and on economic liberty throughout Western civilization, as if they're working overtime to kill it off, that's exactly what they're doing. And with all of us with it, yeah. I think they are working overtime at this because the sore beset citizens of Western civilization are onto their game and getting restless about it. So the Geneva cabal is in a race against time before the center pole of their circus tent collapses and the nations of the world are compelled to follow the zeitgeist in the direction of decentralizing, foiling all of their grand plans. I would love to think that was actually going to happen, although I do think that they get their global government, unfortunately. But I was going to bring this up mostly because I wanted to mention that James Roguski is doing a really good job. I think he's one of the best people out there that is talking about what the WHO is actually doing. And I will try and remember and post a link to his Substack. It's one of the recommended ones on my Substack. If you go there, you'll see a list of a few of the other Substacks that I recommend, and his is one of them. And that's kind of his main thing, his main issue that he talks about is the WHO. I think he's doing a really good job. He was a guest on Lost Arts Radio a couple of times, so I got to meet him and talk to him, and I think he's doing excellent work. So this article reminded me of his work. So feel free to look him up, or this article is on the libertybeacon.com. If you're a Netflix user, it says Netflix users cancel accounts amid password sharing ban. The divorce is final, it says. Netflix may get a resounding no to the question, are you still watching? The streaming service started to roll out its solution to banning password sharing. I didn't know about this. And users are threatening to cancel their subscriptions. Users are now being hit with a warning message that reads, your Netflix account is for you and people who you live with, your household, with household referring to people using the same Wi-Fi network. Now, subscribers who shared accounts either have to transfer their profile to a new membership or add an extra member onto an account for an additional $7.99 a month. Subscribers of Netflix have taken to social media to express their anger, with many claiming they're simply going to cancel, I guess. Yeah, cancel their accounts. Well, it sounds like it's probably Trump's fault, wouldn't you say? I think it's probably his fault. No, I'm joking. But the whole Netflix thing, I don't know. I don't really like Netflix. I don't know about you guys, but it doesn't surprise me. They're trying to squeeze more money out of people in the worst possible time. It says, shame on you, Netflix. It's bad enough. Cost of living is skyrocketing. Groceries, rent, gas, etc. Don't you have enough? No, they never have enough. They're a globalist company. Let me process this. Netflix won't adequately pay their writers and are now charging additional money for the feature they once openly advertised and encouraged. Sounds like corporate greed to me, one user pointed out. Yeah, and then the hashtag cancel Netflix, I guess, was trending on Twitter at some point. So yeah, love is sharing a password. That's funny. Anyway, that's on the New York Post. Film website IMDb alters rating system to artificially boost Disney's failing Little Mermaid remake. Move comes after nearly 40% of users who rated the film gave it 1-star scores. So now, in addition to that, they have to lie about it to say it's really great. Top film, television, and video game reviewing website IMDb, which I don't know if you guys have looked at that website, it's pretty comprehensive, decided to adjust its rating system in order to address the alleged review bombing of Disney's remake of The Little Mermaid. The movie came after nearly 40% of users who rated the film gave 1-star scores. So I guess they made a culturally diverse version of The Little Mermaid, looks like. So anyway, lots of ones that were voted. At the bottom of the graph, IMDb admits the film's true unweighted score is 4.7, but the skewed score currently boasted by the new Disney movie is 7. So they're making it look good, but it apparently ain't very good. It's a 7. So it's all manipulated, just like what iTunes does. I mentioned that last week, and all of those charts and things like that, they're all heavily manipulated. Mostly all run by globalist companies, too, which, of course, means they're lying. More dirty tricks. CNN labels Robert Kennedy Jr. a Republican in the Chiron blunder. A Chiron, I don't know if you guys know, that's one of those little lower third type things they put across the screen to describe someone, whoever's on camera talking. Democrats are so terrified of RFK Jr. they have refused to cover him. Kennedy, son of former U.S. Attorney General Robert Kennedy, is polling at 20% in the Democrat primary, and that is with nearly 100% negative coverage by the establishment media. In a recent Fox News poll, Kennedy had 16% of the vote against a sitting president. That is unheard of. Despite his popularity, the Democrat Party has deleted his name from several polls, and CNN is up to its old tricks. Yeah, because they know RFK Jr. will not go along with their plan, which is globalism. On Thursday, CNN labeled RFK Jr. a Republican on its Chiron. You can see it there on your screen. Here it is here. Well, they wish he was a Republican for sure, but he's going to be going up against old Joe, so I don't think that's going to go over too well. They're misgendering him. They're using the wrong pronoun. But I guess it's okay when they do it. So yeah, Kennedy, RFK Jr., from what I can tell, is an honest guy, and he's saying a lot of the right things. So we'll see what happens with that whole thing. My guess is they're going to ignore him as long as possible because they do not want to let him get any traction for sure. Scoop, YouTube reverses misinformation policy to allow U.S. election denialism. They're going to allow it after all. Isn't that nice of them? Which I think I had a strike for that very issue on my original YouTube channel that I lost in January of 2021. I think that was one of the 3 strikes that did me in. In a reversal of its election integrity policy, YouTube will leave up content that says fraud, errors, or glitches occurred in the 2020 presidential election and other U.S. elections, the company confirmed to Axios. Why it matters, YouTube established the policy in December of 2020 after enough states had certified the 2020 election results. Now the company said in a statement, leaving the policy in place may have the effect of curtailing political speech without meaningfully reducing the risk of violence or other real-world harm. 2 years, this is their quote, 2 years, tens of thousands of video removals, and 1 election cycle later, we recognize it was time to reevaluate the effects of this policy in today's changed landscape, YouTube said in a statement. Yeah, it was on their blog. And isn't that nice? With that in mind, and with 2024 campaigns well underway, we will stop removing content that advances false claims that widespread fraud, errors, or glitches occurred in the 2020 and other past U.S. presidential elections. So they've all been perfect, and you do not need to even bring that up. But they're saying that you can actually talk about that now. I'm not going to test it, but I think that I wouldn't be surprised if there's still strikes given. Says, but ask how YouTube was specifically able to make that determination. A spokesperson pointed Axios to their statement. YouTube said that it had carefully deliberated this change, but didn't provide further examples of what factors or instances it considers when weighing its decision. The platform said it will provide more details about its approach to the 2024 election in the months to come. So they're still trying to figure out ways to censor you. That's what that means. They're just going to call it something different. So anyway, all that to say, get ready. They're probably just going to change course slightly and allow certain things and disallow other new things. And the same basic story here on News Wars. YouTube nixes 2020 election misinformation removal policy. Yeah, 2 years, tens of thousands of video removals. And I wonder how many channels, mine included, got removed for these very reasons. YouTube says it will stop removing content that gives voice to what it calls false claims that widespread fraud, errors, or glitches occurred in the 2020 and other past U.S. presidential elections. When are they going to do that same thing with the COVID nonsense? Because they're still censoring people for that. They're still banning people for medical misinformation, which just means the truth. They're still doing that. Well, one thing at a time, I guess, right? But it is an evil company for sure. And then this is what I mentioned at the very beginning of the broadcast. Breaking, huge explosion heard in Washington, D.C. reportedly shook the ground like an earthquake. Update says caused by DoD flight sonic boom. Massive explosion shocked the residents in the vicinity of Mordor, echoing across nearby areas in Maryland and Virginia. The mysterious loud banger explosion was so intense that it reached as far as Virginia, leaving residents puzzled and concerned about the source of the disturbance. Some people said it shook the ground like an earthquake. So we had that happen, and then, so that was earlier today, and then just a little while later, DC boom mystery deepens. Reports that jets scrambled for plane headed to nation's capital. Plane later crashed in rural Virginia. So a plane crashed. A loud explosion caused panic in Mordor. Sunday afternoon, flight trackers posted images of a private plane on the East Coast that overflew its destination, turned back, and headed back towards Mordor. That reportedly prompted jets to be scrambled from to intercept the plane. Tracking shows the plane flew over D.C. and crashed in rural Virginia. Weird. Pretty sure we're watching an aircraft about to be shot down. Overflowed destination never descended. Nordo, headed right towards D.C. Looks like they allowed the aircraft to fly unresponsive right over downtown D.C. So, pretty weird. It was a Cessna, though, not a jumbo jet. New details emerge about the plane that crashed in Virginia shortly after sonic boom. So this just keeps going on. More and more. So this is a little bit earlier this evening. It says the FAA confirmed that a Cessna Citation crashed into the mountainous region of Southwest Virginia on Sunday afternoon. Crash occurred around the same time a sonic boom was heard in various parts around the DMV. CNN has reported that a U.S. official has confirmed U.S. fighter jets were the culprits behind the sonic boom after the U.S. fighter jets responded to the Cessna that was flying off course. So you had jets doing the sonic booms that was terrifying everybody, and they're chasing the Cessna, and apparently either downed it or it went down. I don't know which. Aircraft that crashed was registered under FAA records. Says the public government records say the aircraft was owned by Encore Motors of Melbourne, which company records say Barbara Rumpel is president of. It's not known who was on the aircraft at this time. So I guess, I don't know. I'm assuming that will all come out soon. So very strange. Strange goings on again in Mordor. Hopefully no one was killed or injured, but it does sound like that is the case. I don't know. We don't really know. No details yet. Speaking of crashes, I don't know if you guys knew about this. I saw this trending on Twitter yesterday, and what a mess this is. Signal error has been blamed for a massive train crash in India that killed nearly 300 people. And you guys can, I'll mute this. I'll show you this video here. Just kind of watch it while I'm reading. It says drone footage shows the aftermath of the disaster. So this was in India again. And it says Friday night a deadly train accident in India killed nearly 300 people and injured 900 more. A signal error led a train to wrongly change tracks, causing the deadly crash. So the signal error. A change in the electronic interlocking caused the accident, and whoever did it and whatever are the reasons will be known after an investigation. Preliminary reports signed by railway officials and obtained by NBC News found that a signal was given to the high-speed express line to enter the main track line, but the signal was later taken off. The train then entered another line known as the loop line and crashed into a goods train parked there. So it must have been going full speed. What a mess. So anyway, didn't know if you guys knew about that one. Lots and lots of people were killed in that one for sure. Man. Former Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey endorses RFK Jr. for president after Twitter censored Kennedy during his reign. Former Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey endorsed RFK for president on Sunday. Don't you find that a little ironic? And he was, of course, banned, I guess, on Twitter. So there's his tweet saying that he is endorsing him. He says Dorsey banned RFK from Twitter while he was running the company. In May of 2021, NPR posted a list from government of the 12 people behind the most vaccine hoaxes. RFK Jr. was included on the list. Yeah, and Rashid Buttar and some of the others were on there as well. So he was banned, but now Dorsey's endorsing him. The Dorsey endorsement. Wow. No irony there. The regime fights back. Instagram bans RFK Jr. So again, if you want to know who to go put your trust in, at least to some degree, I guess you could trust in RFK Jr. because he is being banned everywhere now. Now he's been banned from Instagram. So they're trying to silence somebody running for president. Makes sense to me. They did it to Trump. Why not do it to RFK Jr. as well, even though he's one of them? Supposedly, he's one of them. He's a Democrat, at least. You can't make this up. Ungrateful migrants stage protest at budget hotel in London, demand private room, better Wi-Fi, and more financial assistance. They're just not getting enough free stuff. On Thursday, dozens of ungrateful migrants staged an overnight protest, and who's listening, at a budget hotel in London where they were staying because it did not meet their standards. So, enough said on that, right? But, yep, they need more stuff, more free stuff. Unbelievable. Again, this is the world that we live in, huh? Radical climate activist group engaged in tire slashing expands to 18 countries, including the U.S. I saw this and was thinking, you know, these people slashing tires I don't think they realize, or maybe they do, that they're killing the tires and forcing people to throw them away and putting more things in the landfill. Which, doesn't that harm the environment? Seems like it would. The far-left group known as the Tire Extinguishers has broadened its effort and declared war on car owners, targeting parked sports utility vehicles by deflating their tires in a bid to combat global warming. Operating in 18 countries, they've recently claimed responsibility in major cities like New York, Boston, Chicago, San Francisco, and various cities in England, Canada, France, Spain, Germany, Italy, and Portugal. So, anyway, just beware. If you drive an SUV, you may be a target of the tire extinguishers, who apparently really love the environment. Geoengineeringwatch.org, the newest edition of Global Alert News. 7 of the 9 thresholds that allow for human life on Earth have already been crossed. A breaking headline this week. Global biodiversity loss has also been declared significantly more alarming than previously suspected. A new headline addressing the state of the ozone layer admits the surface UV radiation continues to rise. As dire as these headlines may sound, what's actually unfolding is even worse. With total environmental collapse looming on the near-term horizon, Matrix Media is still pushing climate engineering as a potential silver bullet that could save us from ourselves. Never mind the fact they've already been doing it. After over 75 years of ongoing and expanding weather warfare, it could not be more clear. Climate engineering isn't saving us. It is ensuring our collective demise. So yeah, highly recommend that. Feel free to look at that if you want. Geoengineeringwatch.org. And Dane Wigington, another really great broadcast there. Now, let's see. This weekend's Lost Arts radio show that I am producer on, and Richard Sachs is the host. Jay Dyer was our guest. You guys probably know who he is. I've shown many of his videos on this show. And we're honored to host Jay Dyer. And the name of the show is Writings of the Global Elite, quote-unquote elite, Demystified. Meet an extraordinary analyst, Jay Dyer. So that was pretty cool, getting to meet him and talk to him briefly. And the interview turned out really well. I actually shared it already on my Facebook page, but it's available on all of the Lost Arts radio platforms, BitChute, Rumble, Brighteon, and we're also on Ahava and a few other places as well, Blog Talk Radio and iTunes and things like that. So feel free to look at that if you want. Jay Dyer does a really good job, and this particular show I thought was really good. So anyway, feel free to check that out. I got a couple of his books as well, and look forward to reading through some of those texts. So yeah, now as far as Lost Arts Radio goes, I wanted to mention that next week we have a really key show for you guys, and I've got a sneak preview of it tonight. I want to play just a clip of this. And the guest, I think, is a person that you will know. The fate of the serpent. This is Genesis 3:15, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. Let me just show you the last few things I was going to mention. And this is the Substack I've mentioned several times. Just go there and type in your email address and hit subscribe. It's free, and you'll get an email blast tomorrow that will have all the links to everything, including the videos that I mentioned. We mostly just played clips tonight because there were so many of them, and they were all super long. But I wanted to kind of give you a flavor for some of the different videos I found. There's some really great ones out there. So this is the T-shirt that I am wearing now. This is it. This is the Diamond Report Live shirt that you see on the screen, and I've been happy with my purchase. And feel free to grab a shirt if you're so inclined. And they're available at in the upper right corner there. You'll see on the screen shop.thediamond.report. I don't really make much of anything on it. It's strictly just more of a promo thing for me. It helps me in that way more than anything. So feel free to grab a shirt if you want. Short sleeve, long sleeves are both available. Seems to be really good quality. I've had mine for a few weeks now and wear it pretty often, and I've gotten some good compliments on it. And Telegram is where you can find me as well. Telegram is one of my backup streaming platforms. So this particular channel on Telegram is t.me/The Diamond Report. You can get there and download Telegram right from this download link in the corner here, and subscribe to the Diamond Report if you don't mind. That'd be great. And that's the backup platform for me in case I get booted off of Facebook and or YouTube, which is very possible given what I talk about. So far so good this week, I think. So that's good news. End Times Days, Take It to the Lord in Prayer on Telegram as well. That's my other channel on there. And you guys are mostly on YouTube, so I guess you already know about this, but this is my YouTube channel. I will put a clip of this show up at some point tomorrow, and hopefully it will stay there. We'll see. And my Rumble channel, as well as BitChute and Brighteon and ClickView too. So those are the different places you can find this show in its entirety at some point tomorrow. I've got some things happening in the morning. I normally will edit and process this video in the morning and get it out pretty early in the, I would say, afternoon. And I will try and strive to do that. However, I've got some other things happening in the morning around here that I'm going to have to address. So it may be a little later tomorrow before this gets put out. So I just wanted to let you guys know that in case you want to go out and share it, which I certainly appreciate. And just watch for it tomorrow. I would say probably late afternoon. Hopefully it will be done around the regular time, but it might be a little bit later than normal. Anyway, I hope you guys have a really great week, and feel free to stay in touch. You can reach me through any of the video platforms just by leaving a comment if you want, or you can email me. You can sign up to Substack and reply to any of those emails that come to you, and I will get those emails. That's probably the easiest way to email me, actually. So feel free to do that if you want, and send me what you guys are researching. I always find that very interesting, and you guys send me some really great stuff. So thank you in advance for that. Hope you have a great week, and take care. We'll see you guys again real soon. God bless you all, and we'll talk to you again real soon.